Hey y'all, I took the day off yesterday, but I kind of sort of finished the Manatee. I went back around and did some contour lines and some more shading. I'm going to set it aside for another day and we'll come back to it. So I've gone ahead and wet my paper and sketched out a jellyfish. I think this one will be pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, I always start my video and then I forget my paints. I got a lot going on in here. All right, so I'm going to grab some blue. These are my watercolor paints, and I've got cerulean blue. So I'm going to add that to my tin with a little bit of white. And I'll move the tray over in a second and push the computer top down so y'all can see what I'm doing. So I've added a lot of water to the jellyfish paper. And I'm going to load my brush up with some water. And I'm going to start filling in that background. So I'm just holding my brush, as you can see, at an angle, and it's loaded with water. And I'm just going to let those pools of water and paint kind of do their own thing. Adding a little bit more to the blue that's been muted. Turn my brush a little bit. I've got some of the tentacles overlapping. And I'm not really sure what colors I'm going to use for the jellyfish yet. I have to figure out where the tentacles are. I'm blind. I really need bifocals, but I loathe them. So all right, so I've got a pretty good outline, or background rather, not foreground, background where the water is around the tentacles. Okay. I've just lightly painted wet on wet. And then there's always decisions about what colors you're going to use. And I tend to just am very fluid. So I don't typically plan out what I'm going to do ahead of time. I encourage y'all to plan it out ahead of time since you're beginning. But sometimes it's fun to just wing it and see what happens. So I'm just getting a couple of shades of green. And I might try to make a purple color, maybe even some red. I've lost my white. There it is. All right. Oh, that's black. Holy moly, that would have been a disaster. All right. Red, orange, green, green. Where is my white? There it is. And there's another blue. All right. So I have sap green and leaf green, and I'm going to saturate them with some of the white. Kind of sort of just play in with the dark and the light together to see what kind of a green it makes. And do part of this side with green. And again, this is wet on wet. So I already have a little bit of that green seeping in up at the top. All right. I just picked up a little hint of that darker green to go around the edge to outline that. And I'll continue to do that as I fill in spaces. I will just add a little bit of that dark green to the tip of my brush and do a little bit of a contour line on these sections of the jellyfish. And I'm going to have to go back here and blot up here because that green is, and I can fill that back in later. Lemon. I'm just pulling some of those darker streaks through there. Pick up a little bit of that green and make an itty bitty little shader, a lighter shade for underneath this area here. And I'm gonna need a little more of that green. I hope y'all are able to see. I'm sorry it's upside down. I'm just not technologically savvy, and I'm using Zoom to record, and then it takes about 30 minutes for it to convert, and then I upload it to YouTube. And that seems to be the easiest way for me to do it without having to buy some type of software. I'm just going to take my green and kind of go ahead and give myself a little bit of an outline. I'm probably going to have to wet my paper again. I'm ruining my clothes. All right. So I've got the background is created, and then I've started doing just one section. This is the image, and mine is not going to look like this. I'm going to do, it will not be as structured looking. My goal is for it to be a little more fluid, realistic, and dynamic. All right. Okay, I'm gonna switch to a lighter green on the next section here. Maybe even mixing a little bit of the blue in with that green. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So that's cerulean blue that I'm mixing in with the green, just very lightly to give just a different shade here. This is kind of a more broad tentacle that I'm working on here. Hello, babe. All right, so that's going to have to dry, but that's the second area. And I'll come back in and add some. I'll go ahead and do that now and see how it goes. So I'm just pushing my brush gently to add that darker line there, pressing down on it and kind of pushing in and out to make kind of some of the whatever the tentacles, those ridges and ripples of the tentacle are, to give it some depth. And I'll come back over to this again and work on it more. I'm going to switch over to some blues. And then maybe a purple. Let's see. Maybe I'll go ahead and do purple, reddish purple in that center section. So that is my alizarin crimson. I've got a little bit of that cerulean blue. That is a deep berry. I'm going to add some white to that. And if you don't like what's happening with your colors, you can always take your paper towel and lift the paint up. So if I don't like this pinkish saturated alizarin crimson, then I'll simply remove it. Okay, so I've got pink and green going on here. I'm going to come back with darker greens here after this dries and add a little more contour. And I'm going to take that darker alizarin crimson and do the same here. I'm just pushing that brush out and in to make these little ruffles on the jellyfish's tentacles. And I'll come back and do the same again over here more. All right, I'm going back to that blue. I'm going to add a little white and do another shade. And I may not go with that pink. I may go over that again. All right, well, it's going to have to dry a little bit. But that's that for now. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to go over the red and try to fit it into these colors here. And I've still got more tentacles. And when it's all dry, I'll probably take my tiny brush and do some lines that come over the tentacles. So I'm going to lift that pink up. All right, so I'll come back to that in a little bit. I'm going to start another composition, and I'm gonna work on the little crab there. So as y'all know, I like to sketch things out first. So oopsie. So I'm gonna do horizontal instead of vertical. And I'm probably gonna do him at a little bit of an angle. First claw. I'm gonna work on these other appendages. And I've made them so big, I'm not going to be able to get that other claw in there, which is all right. So I'll just do part of it and maybe try to have it come back around. All right, so I've got my little crabs sketched out. Oh, go on, bee. Mm. All right, and take that same blue that I was using here, that blue green, and get some background in there. And I'm all right with it going on top of the image that I've created, because it's basically some of the same colors that I'll be using. And you see I'm holding the brush at an angle like this and just kind of washing over where the water is. Again, I'm letting the water do its thing with the pigment. When it's wet, you can just drag it. It's very fluid. Okay. Ooh, a lot of water there. Mm. Let's try that again. And I'm just blocking out the lid the ligaments, the legs, so I can at least see where they are. And I'm just using a little bit of green for that. All right, I'm gonna try some black. This might be a mistake, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's gonna be a mistake. All right, I'm not gonna do that right now until it's drier. I'm gonna go and pick up a little bit of blue. Really wet. I'm gonna need to let it dry. All right, it's a little too wet for me to work with it. So I'm gonna set this aside again and let what I've already put on here dry before I come back and start trying to do contour lines and shading. All right, so I'm gonna set the jellyfishes, the crab aside. So you've seen the manatee. I got my jellyfish started, it's still wet, and I've got the crab going. Let's see what the fourth one was, a seahorse. So I'm gonna sketch that one out as well. Hmm. All right, I'm trying to keep everything kind of in the same color scheme since that's the way these appear. Um, I'm just not using the purple and blue. I'm using greens and blues. And I may add some of that red and pink to the seahorse. So again, I'm gonna wet my paper and I'll probably go back and blot it after I wet it. Maybe we'll see. All right. And I'm going to use that green for the background. So I'm holding it almost horizontal to me and just pulling the brush down, turning it when necessary to get the pigment off of it. All right, and I'll probably go back in here and add some blue. All right, oops, shoot. All right, I'm going to pick up that blue I was using with my crab and do a little outlining. All right. So I gotta let that dry now. All right. So I'm gonna go back to this jellyfish since I got you with me here. All right. I'm taking that blue that I just used for the crab and the seahorse. And I'm dragging that around the edges to make contour lines. And these little, I guess Caroline would know what the ruffles on the tentacles are called. I have no idea. Just coming in and playing and making it. I think you can see it even if it's upside down. And don't be afraid to take your composition off the page. You know, painting, especially sea creatures at an angle where they look more natural. Can add to the effect of it looking more realistic. Trying to leave that little line there. I like what's going on. And I'm trying to just pull a little bit of the lighter blue in there. All right. All right, I'm going to take some more of that green and go over this red. And maybe I'll do a little of the blue here. And I'm not really thrilled with the way that looked. But I'm going to leave a hint of that red behind it because I like what's happening there. I'm going to come back over to this section here and add some blue over it. I'm going to come back with that dark green, I guess the sap green, like I did here. Too watery. That's nice. So I'm just going around that very edge of that tentacle to add some more contour lines for definition. Shoot. All right. So that's starting to look a little better. I'll keep finessing it and adding um, different saturated tones and the ruffles along here. All right, I'm going to put it away for now. So you all have seen the manatee. Started the jellyfish, started the crab, and started the seahorse. Okay, so I'm going to take a break, upload this so you can see what I've started, and then I will come back a little bit later after I take a break and some of these compositions have dried, and I will try to finish them. I hope you all are having a happy Sunday. Bye.